This is Suit Up Sports. Suit Up Sports. Where opinions are as sharp as a tailored suit. No fluff, no gimmicks, just unfiltered, hard-hitting takes on sports and a whole lot more. It's time to suit up. Now here's your host, DJ the Suit Stout.
Welcome to Suit Up Sports. I'm DJ the Suit Stout, along with 10-year NFL vet Frank Garcia and Big D. Frank, how you doing?
I've had better days. I'm sure, a lot of people out there right now, struggling with things that are happening here currently in Charlotte and around the country. And, hopefully, they can turn to us to kind of give a little levity and get away from those things. But I think we have to kind of at least mention those things because it's really hard right now for me to know how to feel when it comes to everyday life and going about that. So I've been better. We're gonna get through it, but this feels like the weight of the world is on my back right now, and I want to fight. I want to be angry. I want to go, tear something up. And that's the way that you try to handle these things. And if there was something physical we could go do to somebody, it'd be a lot different. But this is kind of like one of those things right now. Is like, how do you fight this? How do you fight what's going on in our country right now? And the only way I can really think about to do that is pray. That's one of the things that it's hard because we have kids and we want to live and put them in a better position, than we are in right now. Yeah. And right now we're on a downward spiral, and it's frustrating, I think. So that's kind of how I'm feeling. So I've been better, but we're going to get through it.
Yeah, no doubt. And I know you're referring to what happened in Charlotte a few weeks ago on the light rail. And then obviously with Charlie Cook getting assassinated a couple days ago, rest in peace, regardless of what side of the political aisle you preside on. I think everybody, for the most part, realizes that, you should be able to have an opinion without getting shot, regardless whether you agree or not agree. You and I fight like cats and dogs on sports, and there's been times I've wanted to knock you out. And now that you don't walk as well, I've got much better chance than I would have when you could walk well. But no doubt, man. So it's definitely been a tough week. Plus with the September 11th stuff that you watched yesterday,
it was a lot.
I mean, that brought back memories of. I remember. I was running radio stations at the time, and we were broadcasting live at the bowling alley on Montfort Drive. I forget the name of it. It's something different now, but Pappas Lanes, I think is what it used to be called. And I was driving there. We were doing our broadcast live there for Del Curry's celebrity bowling tournament. And I'm on the way there, and Mark Yarbrough was running the board of the station and calls me and goes, "Hey, man, did you see what just happened?" I said, "No." And he goes, "A plane just ran into the World Trade Center." I'm like, "Well, what kind of plane? Like a little plane, a big plane?" He goes, "I don't know. Details are just coming out." And long story short, I get to the bowling alley and nobody's bowling. And I'm talking Vince Carter, Del Curry, Muggsy. I mean, who's who of the NBA, John Starks, all sitting in front of the TV watching this. And I got there in time to see the second plane hit. And I remember that night, Dylan, Big D over here, was only probably, 6-7 months old. And I remember just sitting there going, man, like, what is this kid? What did I bring this kid into? And so I know a lot of people are feeling that way. Our thoughts and prayers go out to obviously Charlie Kirk and his family. And we're lucky that we can talk sports to kind of get away from it for a little bit. So hopefully any of you guys watching live now or who are going to watch this later on, hopefully we can get your mind off the real world for a little bit. And we've got a great weekend of college football and NFL football. So hopefully that we can get your mind off of it for a little bit.
Well, there's no doubt about that. And thoughts and prayers go out to, just our country and, the things that we're struggling in particular, Kirk and his wife and child that had to witness that, which nobody should ever have to witness. And it's funny. It's not funny. It's sad how we become desensitized, to certain things. And, as they get older, 9/11 was one of those times where, you just sit there and, I was playing with the Rams. I was in the St. Louis Rams, and I was driving into work and listening to it on the radio. And all of a sudden, every station turns to what's taking place. A plane just flew into the World Trade Center. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, golly, man, I mean, what the pilot fall asleep, what took place in order to happen. You never think of what the unthinkable was.
Not back then, you sure
we were
didn't.
Getting attacked.
Yeah.
You never thought that. So, that took place, and, the visuals started happening. You saw people kind of scattering down the streets. And then I get into the facility. It was on I believe it was on a Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday.
I think it was a Tuesday.
I believe it was a Tuesday. We were supposed to have our day off. And, that was one of those times where that next plane hits and we all look at each other in the weight room and we're like, I got to go.
Yeah, this isn't an accident.
This isn't an accident. And we were all excused, go home, be with your families. Because I felt like when that second plane hit, we knew we were under attack. Well, similar to what we saw with Charlie Kirk, and the incident take place just this last, a couple days ago. It felt very eerily similar to that time, and you just don't know how to respond, what to do, what to say. But here we are, and it's you don't want to say life goes on, but you have to kind of move forward.
Yep, no doubt. And we got a great college football weekend. One of my dogs, Bella, just penetrated the studio, so Big D's over here running around, and I'm wondering what's going on. And he finally managed to catch her and get her out of here.
He dog.
Well, she's all female. We got that confirmed by science. So anyway, let's start off talking a little college football because we got a bunch of good games this weekend, a bunch of local games too. If you're a fan of Southern football, let's try
to get our minds off of that for a little bit.
Let's get into some football.
Even though we were not going to forget it, it's just something that people tune in to hopefully have a little levity, and that's what sports is really supposed to be for.
Yeah, if you probably remember this when I was running WFNZ, the sports station, I used to tell the guys all the time, I'm like, listen, we got to be real and we got to keep it real and we got to call it out the way we see it. But remember that when people are listening to you, they're trying to get away from the fact that they probably hate their job. How are they going to be able to afford to pay the bills?
You said it a lot differently.
I'm cleaning it up. I'm definitely cleaning it up. But they probably hate their jobs. They're trying to figure out how they're going to pay the bills.
Away from their wives.
Their wives probably nagging them. Not
gosh.
That my wife or your never do that. But yeah, so they come to us to get away from that. So if you sit there and tell them their team sucks all day long, eventually they're going to tune out, right?
Actually, they're beating them down.
You're beating them down.
I came here to listen and get some hope.
Yeah.
So here we are. Pow,
yeah.
So, Panthers suck. This team sucks.
Yeah.
Hornets are terrible. Well,
I mean, a lot of that's
true, but
I mean, I tweeted yesterday, I'm a Mets fan and they're blowing the wild card lead. I'm a Panther fan. They got off to an awful start. I'm a Giants fan. They got off to an awful start.
There's one common denominator.
It's me. But then I said, the only thing I have to look forward thank God I can look forward to the Hornets. And I went, oh, God almighty.
If you're having to look forward to the Hornets, your sports
it just gets worse.
Mentality.
And I'm actually excited about that team this year. But, that's assuming most of the guys play more than 4 games. But let's start off last night. Just want to mention real quick, NC State, Wake Forest, good Thursday night game.
Did you watch that game?
I did watch the game.
Wake Forest jumped out quickly, didn't
they? They did. And, one thing about NC State is their defense is not good. Okay, there's 2 games I saw them. I saw East Carolina. I saw a lot of the Virginia game. Then I saw that game. So 3 games. Their defense is not that good yet. Maybe it gets better. But C.J. Bailey at quarterback's the real deal. I like him a lot. 23-32, 201 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I didn't even know that. Yeah. And then some others are running back 24 rushes for 164 yards. So offensively, they're going to put up points. If they can figure out how to slow the other team down, they're going to be pretty good. But they're off to a 3-0 start. If you're Dave Duran and you're on the hot seat coming into the season, you beat East Carolina, rivalry game, and now you just take care of business against Virginia and Wake. So you're 2-0 in the conference. So he's off to a great start. Defense hasn't played well. So I guess if you're 3-0 and your defense hasn't done anything yet, you got to feel pretty good about it.
I think reality is right around the door to start knocking now.
Well, we'll see. I mean, like I said, you got to hope
when they start playing the big boys in the conference, because there's, I think that's one of the biggest surprises of week 1 in college football was how competitive the top of the ACC was.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't been able to say that for some time. In basketball, we've always been able to say that Duke, Carolina, even Wake at sometimes. NC State a couple of years ago made a great run. They've been top heavy.
Yep.
Louisville's always been, pretty good. Miami every now and then, Florida State. Those teams in basketball had made runs in the past, but in football, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since Florida State, Miami.
All of them good at the same time.
Been good. It's been a hot minute since Clemson has been up. They're always ranked, but they're always they're just teetering right around there. And, whether it's DJ Ugamalala, right, or, the Cade Klubnik that they have now, it's just that feels like they're just kind of on the verge, but they're not as good as the top teams. but they're right around that top 10.
Well, Clemson, has a huge game this week. We'll get to that in a second. Tonight, there's two good games. Colorado at Houston. Obviously, anytime Colorado's playing now with Dion being the head coach, people are paying attention. He's starting his third-string quarterback this week, which has kind of got fans all up in uproar. But
I think that's the big reason for the spread differential and what we're
Houston's minus 4.5, and I know that's going to be one of the games we're going to pick in a little bit. Kansas State at Arizona is another game tonight that should be a pretty good one. I love Arizona's coach. I think he's doing a good job building that program back up. Kansas State's always tough. They had a tough loss first game of the season, so we'll see how that turns out tonight. Right now, Kansas State's minus 1.5. But let's start with a couple of games you just mentioned in the ACC. First off, you got Clemson at Georgia Tech. If you've grown up in the South and you follow the ACC, you know that Clemson and Georgia Tech always play great close games, and Georgia Tech this year appears to be pretty doggone good. They beat one at Colorado, which, not that Colorado is anything special right now, but still, when you go on the road, opening game in a hostile environment, weed smoke blowing all throughout the stadium, to get a win there is a pretty big deal. And they beat Gardner-Webb last week, but now they've got Clemson coming in. Clemson obviously coming off the loss to LSU. Then they struggle with Troy. They were down 17-0. And you just had the feeling that at some point they're going to wake up, and they did. Second half, they kind of put it on them and got the win. So this will be an interesting game. Clemson needs a statement game pretty soon, if you ask me, and I think this is a great time to get it. If you're Georgia Tech and you pull this off and you beat Clemson, you're 3-0 now, and you're feeling great as well, just like NC State. So that game right now, Clemson is laying 2.5 points. And it wouldn't surprise me if that goes up a little bit, but looking forward to that game. And then the other team that you mentioned with a big game and that I'm excited to watch, because not just because Miami looked so good against my Fighting Irish, dominated the ball on both lines. But here comes South Florida, and all South Florida have done was beat ranked Boise State in their opener, and then go on the road to Florida and come back in a crazy game and win that game. So two ranked opponents in two games are 2-0. And now their schedule maker, whatever coach that got fired that made this schedule, probably was laughing when he saw who Scott Frost and his team had to play this year to start the season. But he's not laughing now. They're 2-0. And I'll tell you what, they've got a quarterback that can run, that can throw the ball. They've got athletes all over the field. I think Miami's going to be too much for them for exactly the reason I just said. When your offensive line dominates Notre Dame's defensive line, and when your defensive line dominates Notre Dame's offensive line, and that's the two positions that Notre Dame is normally pretty stout at, I got to believe that Miami's going to wear them down. And then if Carson Beck plays like he did against Notre Dame, he looked great. So he's got weapons everywhere. They've got great running game, great receivers outside. So that'll be a fun game to watch. Right now, Miami's laying 17.5 points, which is a lot of points for a team that has beat two ranked opponents already and went into the swamp and beat the Gators. But we've got that game this weekend too that I'm looking forward to watching. My Fighting Irish coming off an awful loss at Miami, a heartbreaker. Freshman quarterback struggled. They really didn't unleash him that much. They had a week off to prepare for Texas A&M. Last year they beat A&M at A&M and beat them pretty solidly. But it's a huge game for Notre Dame. They're minus 6.5, but you can't start off 0-2 and expect to make the playoffs, even when you're an independent. And in their schedule, they've got some big games left to play, obviously. So this is a must win, in my opinion, for Notre Dame.
Well, it's a must win for a lot of these top teams.
Clemson as well. You're right.
That lost week one, and a lot of those top teams did. That's how competitive college football has become, especially with the BCS era. It's maybe going to be a little bit less, where they give a little bit of grace if you lose one of those games early, where because there's the 12 teams in there, right now that that you have a little bit of grace that if you lose one of those games, you can still make a run and come back and win. But there's no more I think grace for Clemson if they lose this game, which I don't think they will. I know it's a 2.5 point favorite. They're 2.5 point favorites, but I think they found something last week. In that game against the team that was just, ragged on them first quarter, or
Yep,
first half really. And
on both sides of the ball.
On both sides of the ball. It just looked like they weren't prepared. It looked like they weren't ready. And then it scored 27 straight, in the second half. And, Dabo's got to, he's got some issues, right? There's some issues there. Is this the kid that we thought he was going to be?
Yeah.
Our defensive line was supposed to be the best in the country, and they're getting shoved around a little bit right now. So there's going to be some soul searching for Clemson, and I'm sure Dabo will get them going in the right direction. But I think, like you said, this is a statement game for them, and I don't think Georgia Tech is as close as they played them. It's just a rivalry. It's only about an hour and a half away. People that aren't familiar with that proximity of those two schools, it's literally an hour and a half, if that, from Georgia Tech to Clemson. So a big rivalry game, but I think Clemson takes care of business there and wins by at least double digits. You talked about Miami and the team that that they're playing in Central Florida.
South Florida,
excuse me, and what South Florida has done, beating
Boise and Florida
and Florida, right? And everybody's right now talking about, well, Florida disappointed. They kind of crapped down their leg. They didn't show up. Those types of things. And maybe it's the fact that South Florida is pretty good.
They got athletes, listen, everyone always talks about when you recruit Florida, there's players there. It's like Texas, right? There's an abundance of good players, and not all of them go to Florida or Florida State. Obviously some leave the state, but he does. Scott Frost has great talent. He was good there the first time. He struggled when he went to Nebraska, but now he's back. And
Scott Frost does one thing pretty good, and that's coaching the quarterback position. You mentioned the quarterback for South Florida and his understanding of the game. And when you have kids like that and you have to put some talent around them, I just don't think Nebraska was very, he wasn't able to recruit the way that you have the talent that you have in South Florida, those types of kids to surround, your team with.
Yep.
Nebraska's going to have a Midwestern style kid. Not a lot of the Southerners going up there to play at Nebraska. I've been there. There's not a whole lot for them to sell. So, that program has struggled over the last years, and we're seeing it right now with Matt Rule there.
He seems to have going in the right direction. The one thing I thought with Scott Frost in Nebraska was that his offense, and we see how good his offense was when he's been in Florida, at South Florida. I think you nailed it. Like, I don't think he got the players that fit that offense in Nebraska, and he tried to put a square peg in a round hole. And I think now that he's back in Florida, he's got these athletes, and I'm excited. I love that quarterback Brown. I think that kid can play. And I tell you what,
Miami, however, they're a different animal up front, right? And
they are both sides of the ball.
As you point out, Notre Dame historically is pretty good. They've sent probably as many, if not more, linemen to the NFL, in the last, especially on the offensive side. And they're starting to take over on the defensive side, and that's where they've been competitive. And with the Ohio States and the Alabamas and the Georgia, the SEC teams, and they've been getting rolled out, when they played in those big games. They just didn't have the size. I remember, if you remember the game, Manti Te'o and Derrick Henry, when Derrick Henry ran through the hole and ran over and kind of curb stomped Manti Te'o as he walked through the end zone.
And Te'o's defense, he got catfished. He wasn't right mentally.
He didn't think that was the really So, but I mean, just the size of guys that were playing, that's where Notre Dame lacked. But since then, they have kind of bolstered that and, just really understood this is where these games are going to be won. We got to get those guys to compete. And Miami made them look like they were little boys out there.
They sure did.
I know their right tackle probably graded as low for the grading system that college football uses for players.
Yep.
I think he had like a 23.
It was bad.
And it was the worst of the year. And maybe probably the worst grade they've ever given to a lineman. But you got to give Miami and their defensive line a ton of credit because they were just throwing those guys around. And for me to say that, Notre Dame, we thought was going to be pretty good.
Yeah, and they still may be.
And they still might be. They're going to figure those things out for sure. And they love that coach. But you got to be able to block those big guys up front. And Miami looked like, I don't want to say they're as good as the 91 defense, but they fly around. And they were getting after it. And they were getting after the quarterback, especially on third down. They're pinning their ears back.
Yep.
And you had guys across the ball that can go out there and eat and hunt quarterbacks. That reminded me of a very familiar story that we remembered back if you're 30, 40 years ago, 30 years ago in 91 when they were out there dominating.
Yeah. Well, if Miami handles South Florida with ease, then, I already believe in Miami. I thought beating Notre Dame the way they did it, even though Notre Dame had a chance at the end and Miami's kicker, who really had not made many kicks last year, was money. But if Miami handles South Florida, then people are going to wake up if they haven't already. I think they will.
The one thing that you have to be careful of, right, and this is what's going to be interesting in this game, is when you have a pocket passer and you feel like you have a line around him, the kid for Notre Dame is not this kid for South Florida. This kid from South Florida,
he can run, man.
He's got some scoots. So as a defensive line, it slows you down a little bit and makes you play more fundamentally sound football because you can't get out of your lanes. If you do, he's gone.
Yep.
And that's what every coach is telling them this week is you got to rush in your lanes. You got to press the pocket. We got to either filter him to his right or to his left. We're going to rush around. Just very similar to what they used to do with Cam Newton when the Broncos played them. You look at the backside or the way that they would protect, you had Von Miller just running right around the tackle because he knew and they had studied that Cam was always, when he felt pressure, was going to roll to his right. So he would chase it down and just meet him to where he was going to be. They forced him, either they caught him from behind or forced him in the pocket and made him step up, which he's not able to, which he wasn't willing to do or, did very well. So this is going to be the interesting part of that game. But I do feel like, if you just keep applying pressure like that, you're not going to have very many Johnny Manziel type performances where you're going out there and, throwing up some numbers, against Alabama like he did. I think this Miami defense is that good.
I want to go back to the Clemson game for a second because, you brought up Klubnik and how, Clemson needs him to step up. And I almost compare Klubnik to Bryce Young for the Panthers because you've seen flashes where you go, okay, this kid can play. And I'm talking Bryce in the pros. Obviously, in college, he was unbelievable. You've seen flashes where you go, this kid can play. He's exactly what we thought he was. He can lead the team and all those things. And then you see performances where you go, and I thought Bryce played okay against Jacksonville, so I'm not referring to that game necessarily. But you keep waiting for them.
He didn't. I mean,
he played okay. He played okay. I thought he played okay.
I think I gave him a D and you gave him a C minus. That's not going
to. Well, no, it's not going to cut it for sure. I mean, and we talked about that last week. And that's my point. Him and Klubnik remind me of each other from the standpoint of let's get going and have a big game in a big game. And anyone can throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns when you're playing Duke, and maybe that's not even a good example. But my point is, it's time to step up and put the team on your back and be the 5-star recruit that everybody thought you were going to be, and not just do it for one game, but get on a roll. And look, this is the time to do it for Bryce and for Klubnik. So the parallel there kind of reminds me of each other.
I understand what you're saying, but here's my question. What makes you think they haven't been trying to do that?
I'm not saying they haven't been trying. I'm saying do it.
Yeah, I understand.
If you're that guy, be the guy. If you're not, then you're not the guy.
Yeah, if there was a light switch that I could go turn on as a quarterback so that I could get my mojo going, I would do that.
But
so
it's not just. But that there's times where the light switch does come on, and we hear that all the time. And you've coached players. We've talked about it. So there are times where that light switch comes on, and I made the reference to Bryce Young where his balls need to drop. Maybe that's what needs to happen with Klubnik, but some guys never find the switch, right? And you're right. There's plenty of guys that had, that were number 1 picks that never panned out, right? So what I'm saying is
it's time.
It's time. It's time to go.
I can understand.
It's time to go.
That, but I think when it felt like you were like coaching, it's time to turn the light on. Well, and that's, to me, I know you're trying. I know you're working hard. We're doing a lot of the good things. Continue to work hard. We got to start improve. We got to start making plays. Right. And we got to start taking chances. We got to start, being less afraid to fail and find out who you are as a player. If I'm one of these coaches, that's when I'm having the conversation, with my players, that you have all the skills, you have all the ability. You wouldn't be starting for this team, with all these expectations if you weren't the guy. But now we got to go out there and
do it.
We got to go out there and we got to play with our hair on fire a little bit. Let it go.
That's it.
Let it go. Be free. Stop worrying about the mistakes. Just kind of Let the game come to you.
And what I mean is take control of the game, like be the leader, right? You're the 5-star recruit at Clemson. All the praise coming in. It's time to be the leader and show us what you got. Bryce Young, same thing. First-round pick, Heisman Trophy winner, great guy, works hard. But now it's time to take control. And let's go. And I'm hoping we see that from both those guys. The game of the weekend, as far as college football goes, and I can't wait to watch this game, is Georgia at Tennessee. And right now, Georgia's a 3.5 favorite. Georgia's played nobody yet, and they've shown nothing playing nobody, right? So I'm sure Kirby was like, look, we can be
good and bad, right? Good and bad. So, I know that a lot of times coaches like to get that really hard game early on, especially with that 12-game playoff going on right now. And the reason for that is that when I look at my team now and I played a really competitive game against a really good program, I can measure how good we are in each area. I can look at this position, I can look at that position group and say, we need to improve here. We need to, continue to utilize these guys more, right? We can give them more. If you haven't played anybody, right, and you're just going out there and executing and doing the things you're supposed to do against an average opponent, it's just like practice. You really don't know what you have.
You're not put in situations where you got to dig deep and freaking figure out how we're going to survive this.
Or you haven't been pressured. Is my offensive line any good? We played little guys over here that we just locked up and they didn't move, right?
Yep.
We haven't played in Miami. We haven't played in LSU. We haven't played these big physical teams that those guys over there could make us look really stupid if we, in the SEC, if we don't step up. So I think it's going to be a great measure for Georgia and Kirby Smart to see where they are and where they stand. Heupel over at Tennessee and what he's done with that offense, it works. It works against teams that don't have those DBs and those dogs. Historically, over the last 15 years, Georgia, if you played at Georgia, you've been on the best defense in the country.
Yeah.
And they have recruited guys that can fly.
NFL is littered with
Georgia.
Players. Yep.
I
think the Eagles have 6 themselves.
That's right. They've won world championships with their players, right?
Yep.
So I think we've made fun of it. We don't know if he's good or not, but if he's from Georgia, take him.
Yep,
right?
No doubt.
And that's kind of his reputation and what he's done. And he still understands those recruits and those players. And he's still going to play that system. And I really do think that Georgia has a great chance, whether they have the quarterback, because they let Beck go, remember?
Yep.
Right? He down in Miami doing his thing and did really well.
Played great.
If you ask me the guy that had the most to prove, it was probably Beck to see, am I worthy of the contract I got leaving a school like Georgia to go to a program like Miami?
Yep.
And the answer so far is yes.
Yeah, after one game, no doubt.
But now you have to replace that guy, right? You have if Georgia had Beck right now, they'd be the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, I mean, Beck.
Would you disagree?
The way he played.
No. If he had never transferred, and he was coming back,
they probably would have. I mean, Ohio State, Texas,
they would be the number 1 team in the argument. Texas is Fugazi.
Well, I know, and we'll get to Texas. Yeah. They play another cupcake this week, but to the Tennessee side of it, with those guys, you almost see addition by subtraction. Their quarterback last year wants more money.
You say that.
Heupel says, hit the road, and then. Again, Tennessee's played nobody, but in the 2 games they've played, they're putting up points like it's nothing. I think they scored 70 last week, and I think the week before that was in the 50s. Again, against nobody, and it goes to your point as far as you're playing smaller guys, you're playing slower guys. So I understand all that.
Elon, or who did they play? E and Stanford.
East Tennessee, Stanford,
Stanford 25, 26 points against Tennessee. Stanford's awful.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If Tennessee looks like at least the offense is clicking against these bad teams. It looks like
Eastern Tennessee State.
Yeah, they played nobody.
Some direction,
and neither is Georgia. But Tennessee has won their games convincingly against the bad teams, and Georgia's kind of lollygagged through it. But I know Kirby Smart, and I know that Kirby Smart has a plan, right? If he's not the best coach in college football right now, he's top 2 or 3, and I think he's probably the best. So I'm sure he's going to have his guys ready. But this will be a great test for Tennessee because early season game, 110,000 people. If you've ever been to a game in Tennessee, it's unbelievable to this day. And I've been lucky enough to go to a lot of the big stadiums. It's the loudest I've ever heard.
Don't just count Austin Peay.
Yeah, I know.
Austin Peay is pretty dang good.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm not saying
they held Georgia to 28.
Right, exactly, and that's my point. Is Kirby's just been going through the motions. He'll have these boys ready. It will be interesting to see what their quarterback has and if he's the real deal. But I'm excited about that game. Whenever you get a big SEC matchup like this early in the season, it's exciting. I know I've got a bunch of buddies that are Tennessee fans who are fired up for this game. Like I said, the fans there are great. It's going to be loud, but that's nothing new for Georgia. They've won national championships. They've played in big games routinely, right? So that's nothing new for them. But I can't wait to watch that game, and I hope it's a good game, and I expect it will be. But it will be interesting to see what Tennessee can do against that Georgia defense, which is full of NFL prospects.
Well, you got rid of, like you said, the quarterback. You bring in Aguilar, guy that has they went out and basically handpicked him. They took him from, I don't remember the school they got, but they went out there and they said, who's in this? Let's go get this guy. He's the best available. And they paid him, what they needed to get him over there. Is he going to be the guy? We'll see. But I think he could be the difference maker in Heupel's in that offense that they run.
Florida LSU, another big SEC matchup, nighttime in LSU, which everybody knows that playing in Death Valley and LSU at nighttime is a whole different experience. Florida coming off the loss to South Florida, bad loss. I think Napier's counting the days till he's gone. I don't see him making, unless they have a win in this game, which I don't see it happening. LSU right now is -6.5, by the way. I don't think Florida gets it done. DJ Lagway, the Florida quarterback, I like a lot, but he hasn't shown anything thus far through 2 games that's impressed me, at least, and definitely not against South Florida. But it's an undisciplined team as usual. It seems like we say this about Napier since he's been there. They had the big spitting penalty at the end of the game that cost him the game, really, which is crazy when you just had Jalen Carter do it days before that. You'd think that it'd be on your top of your mind not to spit on another player, but he did, and they lost the game. So big game for Florida and Napier. Matter of fact, if Napier loses this game, I bet you he's got 3 or 4. And if I'm Florida, I'm calling old Urban Meyer and I'm saying, hey, Urban, you're still young.
He's not young.
He ain't old. I mean, he's not old. I think Urban Meyer's 60 years old, maybe.
He's older than that.
Not much. I mean, he's still young for this day and age. And you give that dude however much money it takes to get him out of retirement, because he'll win. He's won everywhere he goes. And if I'm Florida, I'm already working on the boosters and figuring out how much money we can throw at this dude. We're bringing him back if they can get him. There's a lot of rumors as well that John Gruden would be on the short list of guys they talked to. He's been pretty adamant about wanting to get back into coaching and wanting to do it in college. Lives in Florida. So, I think
Nate, right, he's 61.
61, not too old. Hell, we're 53, man.
Well, yeah, you're right.
We're not going to be old. We're 61.
I thought he was older than that. Maybe it was just because of the health concerns that he was going through with the heart issues, the pressure, the stress. ESPN can probably do that to him as well. So
if he's working with Ryan Clark, it will.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit less stressful than going out there and coaching a program and doing the recruiting and things like that.
Well, if you remember
I heard the college life is pretty good down there, so he might.
I'm sure.
Might be
I'm sure. And his last coaching stint was with the Jaguars, and that was a complete disaster. So I'm sure he wouldn't want to go out like that too. So I have no idea if he'd want to come back, but I got to believe that would be a pretty interesting scenario. And
the thing you have to remember
but there's no way Napier makes it through the year.
The thing you have to remember when we throw in these names around like this is their quality of life better now, than what it is with, especially the heart headache and the NIL and the portal and all the things that are taking place in college football. It's almost like you've taken the fun out of the game and you've went out and hired mercenaries. It's become pro football. Yeah,
but you know what? Here's what I'd say to that. If you asked Urban Meyer right now, is his quality of life better not coaching football? I'm sure he would say yes, right? He's probably playing golf every day. He's living the life, right?
Making a lot of money.
But
sitting behind a desk, doing this.
But then you go into what made him great in the first place, which is what made you great, which is what makes competitors great, is the fact you want to compete. And that's something that's a fire that eventually it might die out. I know you and I hasn't died out. I wish I could go back and play sports right now. I know you would go back and play right now if you could. And so if he still has that fire burning, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he has settled in and maybe the Jacksonville experience was enough to just say, you know what, I'm done. I've got $1 gazillion in the bank. But if that fire's still burning, and something tells me it still is, very rarely do you see coaches at 61 say, you know what, I'm done. That's young. And I mean, even Nick Saban, if I'm not mistaken, when he retired a couple years ago, wasn't he like 74 or something like that? So, it wouldn't surprise me if the fire still is burning. And again, I'm not a Gator fan. I'm just telling you right now, I'm not impressed with Napier. Every time I see the dude interviewed during the game, I feel like he's talking about a game I'm not watching. and a lot of my buddies that are Florida fans were done with him last year. They finished strong, so it saved them for a year. So if they can go into LSU and get a win, that'd be a heck of a story and a great win for their program. But something tells me LSU, they've got a quarterback, which when Brian Kelly has a quarterback, normally they score points. When LSU has a quarterback, they're normally really good. And it's funny how you look at that program, they seem to always have very good defensive players, great receivers. We see them all over the NFL, great running backs, good line. They just had hard times with quarterbacks. When they've had quarterbacks, when they had Burrow, when they had Jaden Daniels, and now I never can get this guy's name right, Neusheiser or whatever the heck it is. They do well. Nessmeyer. They do well. And Brian Kelly, like him or hate him. And I'm not a big Brian Kelly fan, but he can coach offense. So I think LSU takes care of that. They're minus 7.5, like I said.
6.5, I thought.
Is it 6.5? I might have changed a 7 to a 6. Regardless, about a touchdown favorite.
Yeah.
And Florida's got something to prove. We'll see if they can get off the mat and rebound after blowing that game last week against South Florida. But that's another game.
Look at Brian Kelly's win percentage in the regular season. It's as good as any coach.
Guy can coach.
It's as good as any coach in college football coaching today.
He can coach, and I'll tell you this much.
He has not been able to win the game, the big one.
Yeah.
But he has won the ones to get him in position to win those big games.
And
he's been at Notre Dame. He was winning 10 games.
Oh, every year. And
he just couldn't beat the LSUs. He couldn't beat the Alabamas. He couldn't beat the Georgias. He couldn't win the big games. And that was the expectations at Notre Dame. If you're going to be there where you want to compete and win, and he get run out of the park against a lot of those teams.
No doubt. And at LSU, he really hasn't had that success. So this is a big year for him. I mean, he's on the hot seat, and he got off the.
Is he?
He's on the hot seat. If they don't have a good year this year, now they got off to a great start, obviously beating Clemson at Clemson. But he's got to take care of business here, and I think they will.
I feel like if it's one of those big programs, you're always on the hot seat, though.
True. I mean look at DeBoer in Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on the hot seat after 1 year.
I think that's a different type of thing, though, right? I mean, that program, you can feel like almost the wind has been sucked out of it, right? Or at least it's deflating very quickly. It's like one of those. It's not one of those puncture wounds that just goes all the way. It's a good enough hole where a Band-Aid's not going to cover it.
Well, they've got another cupcake this week too. So they got right and felt better about themselves last week. I'm sure they'll do it this week. So next big game they have, it'll be interesting to see if we see the Alabama that we expect to see, or the Alabama that we saw a lot last year and that we saw against Florida State, who just warm out.
7-point favorites against Florida.
7 points.
Yeah, and I think that continuing to talk about that game, you're right. LSU as a night game, 7:30 kickoff. There's gonna be a lot of corn dogs. There's gonna be a lot of whiskey. There's gonna be a lot of moonshine. There's gonna be a lot of jambalaya. There's gonna be a lot, and they're gonna be going all day long. And Florida is, I think, as you point out, when you lose to South Florida, right? They're on the verge. They're on the verge. The coach, they don't really maybe necessarily buy into what he's selling and Napier, but if LSU jumps out quick, this could be a rout.
Yeah, and one thing about a good team, and I'm sure you've played on teams that you can relate to, is when you have a loss, especially when you lose the way Florida lost, right? At the end of the game on a stupid penalty, you gave up the lead. How do you get off the mat? And great teams get off the mat, right? Great fighters get off the mat. And doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win the game, but they're going to fight and they're going to be in the game. And you're going to see if they still have connection with their coach and if they still care and if they still have heart.
I agree with the second part of what you said, but I wouldn't consider them a great team if they lost to that team.
Well, right? Good teams.
Yeah, good teams find a way. Great teams find a way to win that game, right? That they lost, and then they fix those mistakes. Good teams, will bounce back if what you said is that if they have confidence in their coach, in what they're doing, and in the process, in the routine, and they believe that they're going in the right direction. Florida doesn't seem to be a team that believes that they're going in the right direction.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. That'll be a fun way to end the evening with Florida at LSU. There's two other local games. We're not even gonna dive into them because they're playing bad teams. Charlotte right now is a bad team. Charlotte's at home against Monmouth at 6:00. If they don't get a win here, then I don't see them getting one this year because their schedule gets a lot tougher. Monmouth has put up about 47 points a game against smaller teams, but Charlotte appears to be a smaller team, so they better get a W there. And then Carolina back at home with Bill Belichick. They're at home against Richmond. Again, you would expect Carolina to take care of business. Richmond throughout the last probably 20 years seems to be a team, though, who is sneaky and has upset ACC teams. They've got a big quarterback. I think he's 6'5", 260. Don't know how good he is, but I know he's a big dude back there. So Carolina's defense played well against Charlotte. Again, Charlotte's offense is anemic. Carolina, for 2 straight games, goes right down the opening drive, scores a touchdown. Matter of fact, if you're betting a prop, I might bet Carolina to score on a touch on their first drive because they seem to go do that with ease, and then their offense seems to go in a shell for most of the rest of the game. So Carolina against Richmond, Carolina's got to get that win as well. You had a cupcake in Charlotte, you got a cupcake in Richmond. Should be a cupcake. Belichick should be able to get that done. But another good weekend of college football. A bunch of good games we'll be paying attention to and talking about Monday.
Well, game, I don't know if you're wanting to touch on it or not. That I'm going to be at.
Oh, that's the last game I was going to talk about.
Is South Carolina Vanderbilt.
Yep.
That has a chance of being a sneaky good game.
Did they move it to nighttime?
Yep. They flexed the game from 4:30 to 7:30.
Yep.
2 really good quarterbacks, both scrappy dudes that are going to go out there. South Carolina handled them last year very easily. I think they won 42-14, something like that. It was kind of a rout in that game, but Vanderbilt has found something with Pavea. And he seems to be a guy that is catching fire with his teammates, and they're wanting to play harder for him. Very similar, to what Texas A&M was.
I was going to say, he reminds me of like a Johnny Manziel. Yep.
And I'm not saying he's going to be a great, pro player, because I don't think he will be.
He's 5'10".
But he is a feisty guy. He's a competitive guy, and he loves being in the moment. And I've seen him play multiple games, and he's not afraid. He's not afraid to compete. He plays with that little man syndrome, chip on his shoulder, and he's gonna do everything he can within his power to give Vanderbilt a chance.
Well, they both have one common opponent. They both play Virginia Tech. South Carolina squeaked a victory out against Virginia Tech and Georgia.
South Carolina being pretty handily.
If it went for that punt return towards the end, that's kind of what opened the game up.
Those are all part of the.
They are, but my point was it was a close game for quite a bit, whereas Vandy was losing 20-10 at halftime to Virginia Tech. And all they did was go, I think, 27 unanswered points in the second half and wore them out. And their offense appeared to figure it out. Vandy's offense looked great in that second half. So you're right. South Carolina took care of them handily last year in Vandy. But now they've got them coming into South Carolina. That should be a great game. And, Vanderbilt, in my opinion, made one big mistake here. And I don't know if you've seen it, but all the players, Pavea, all the players on Vanderbilt have said, oh, yeah, in the offseason, there's one game that we circled this year, and that's against South Carolina. They came in and whooped our butts and talked a bunch of crap. So that's the one game on our schedule that we circled, in offseason. And I can't remember who the player was for South Carolina. It wasn't the quarterback, but somebody asked him about that. And I thought the answer was brilliant. And I'm sure Shane Beamer has told the team this in meetings leading up to this game. And they asked the kid about what Pavea and what these Vandy guys are saying about having this game circled since the offseason. And the kid just went, man, we circle every game. And I thought it was just a great answer. Every game we're circling because we want to win every game. So that should be a really, real fun game. I know you're going. I know our buddy Justin Goff and his family are going. South Carolina is always a great atmosphere, even when they were bad.
Have you been to a game?
Oh, I've been to many of them, and they were when they were bad usually, and they were still fun.
I mean,
it's normally 1,000 degrees there, so I don't know what the temperature is going to be.
Well, thankfully it's going to be at night, but the tailgate is going to be super hot. I'm expecting a lot of moonshine, maybe some chicken cock.
Yeah.
Some of that nice bourbon they got down there. They're definitely going to do it right for sure. But
have you had onion sausage before? You may have had it here before, but it's like
an appetizer, or is it a drink?
No, it's not a drink. If it's a drink, I'm not touching it.
Is this some sort of bourbon I should know about? Onion sausage?
No, it sounds. I guess nowadays there's names worse. No, in Columbia and South Carolina is the only place I've ever seen it. And our buddy Matt Wilson and I will literally drive down to Columbia to go. There's a couple of places. Well, I'm sure there's more than a couple that have it, but there's a couple places we go to, and I don't remember the name of it. But you buy a box of them, and it's like 12 in there, and they're sausages that are in a swirl, and it's called onion sausage. And you grill it on the grill, and then you dip it into like honey mustard or a spicy honey mustard. It's unbelievable.
Really?
So if you're tailgating, I'll find out from Matt the name of the place you need to go. It's right on the way. You just dip in there. It's like a butcher shop. You can get the onion sausage. You can get the dipping sauce, whatever you want. They've got everything in there.
I know the one thing
I'm telling you, it's delicious. If you haven't tried it, you need to get some.
People from South Carolina are already a little wacky anyway, right? And this will explain it, is that anybody that puts mustard on their barbecue, they have mustard-based barbecue.
Yeah.
Unlike any place you've ever tasted. And it's okay, but it's
I don't mind it. It's not my favorite. I like it better than the white sauce that you have like in Alabama and places like that. But
I like just put the vinegar base on there.
Yeah, I'm down with that too.
The East Carolina barbecue to me is by far superior. And then if I'm going anywhere, it's going to be tomato based, not mustard based. Mustard based is okay, but it's not the same as
mustard based for me. I like it on pulled chicken and stuff, or on the sausage. You got to try the onion sausage. I'm telling you, it'd be worth it. Go buy a box of it.
It doesn't
on your
sound
way.
very good.
I promise you, after you eat it, are you going to have a grill?
Like onions?
No, you don't even really taste.
It's sausage, just shaped in an onion.
No, it's shaped in a spiral. It does have onion in it, but
looks like an onion.
No, it looks like it looks like a bratwurst, except it's wrapped in a spiral. But it's called onion sauce. So onions are obviously in there, but you don't taste it.
I have to Google.
Just trust me. Are you gonna have a grill wherever you're tailgating, or are y'all like doing fluting? Bringing your own wine and cheese. Like, what are you doing?
I am a guest at somebody's tailgate.
I'm going to get the name of this place for you right now.
I'm going, and I don't really know what to expect. I know that they've been doing it a long time, kind of like Justin. They have a little spot right there in the fairgrounds where they go to, and it's right there by the entrance. So I don't have to walk too far, which is good. I just hope they have some fans and some other games going on, because I'm going to have some, I'm definitely going to be having some drinks down there. And if they have the onion sausage,
just go buy it on the way. I'm gonna get the name of the place here in a second for you, and then you just need to do it. Just trust me. I actually brought some back. One of our
onion sausage near me. Let's see what it
I don't think they. I mean, the only place I've ever seen it is in Columbia.
Reed's Walmart,
well,
Cajun Grocery,
the
butcher market.
Go to the butcher market. Don't go to
Reed's is a butcher market.
Yeah,
Reed's is good.
Just go get it. I'm telling you, it's something in Columbia that it's known for there, and I'm just telling you, it's delicious.
It doesn't look like.
Well, those are cheese crackers. I don't know what the hell you're looking at.
But it doesn't look like anything other than like bratwurst.
That's what I said. It looks like bratwurst, but that you don't want that. That's not what you want.
That's onion sausage.
You want to get the onion, get it there where they make it by hand. Just trust me.
All right.
Just trust me. I'm going to get you the name of the place. You go there, get it, and then you report back on Monday. I guarantee you're going to love it. And we grill it on our green egg as an appetizer. And I've never had anyone that didn't like it. Matter of fact, I've had people who have now started driving down there to get it. It's really good. All right, enough on onion sausages. Let's go to the
I kind of enjoyed talking about onion sausage.
Well, let's go to the NFL. And last night, by the way, Green Bay against the Redskins. Redskins, obviously both teams coming off a short week. Jaden Daniels, we both agreed, one of the top young quarterbacks in the game. But man, Green Bay, like, we knew that they were going to be good.
You've been tooting their horn for a couple years now. Last year, you had them projected to be one of the surprise teams in the playoffs. They're the youngest team in the NFL.
Yep. And
bringing on Micah Parsons last night seemed to be, kind of that spark they've been missing on the defensive side. I remember, probably when Aaron Rodgers won his only Super Bowl there, and they were expected to go and, they were winning games, but the flowing blonde hair at defensive end that would come out there, Clay Matthews, as he'd come off the edge and make things happen. He was kind of, he's kind of been what they've been missing. Now you get Micah Parsons, he lines up everywhere. I didn't realize maybe how much he reminds me of Lawrence Taylor. And I know that's a big name to throw out there. But when you can bull rush guards on the inside from a 3 technique, and you're not just running around guys and using power and converting speed to power, and you're lining up and you're bull rushing guards from a tight position without a head full of steam, you've got some power.
Mm-hmm.
And he definitely has the ability to not just, run through guards, but to run around them. And they try to double team him a couple times with guards and tackles, and he split them. So,
well, the problem too is you got Gary on the other side, who's a Pro Bowl defensive end. You can't double both of them. And Gary had another big game last night. So, I just think Green Bay has got things clicking. They always said that they didn't have the receivers, right? And so
they found a way to use their tight end last night.
He looked great last night.
I mean, he looked like Travis Kelce, in a Green Bay Packer uniform.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I've never even heard of the kid.
Kraft.
Yep, I never even heard.
I think South Dakota State.
Like I said, I've never even heard of the kid. And you know what? That's gonna be a name. I went on this morning trying to find him to put on my fantasy football team, just because I think he's gonna have that type of year. Because Jordan Love looked good.
Looked really good.
I have him as my quarterback. I just needed to pair him with a receiver. They didn't really have, the Randall Cobb or the name Devontae. That they've had in the past. They've never had Devontae Adams. They didn't have those guys. They have guys, but Jordan Love's making them better. And they have a good running game.
Great running game.
They the kid that came from the Raiders, Jacoby Jacobs is a guy that is a big physical guy that runs hard. But Love is the one that makes them go, and I love their head coach too.
I do too. Jacobs has a touchdown in 10 straight games. Love, last year, if you remember when Green Bay played Philadelphia in the playoffs, and they gave him a game, but Love was banged up. Remember, I think his thumb was banged up, and I think that was definitely a factor.
Did he play?
Yeah, I think he did play, but he was banged up a little bit, and I think it was a factor in that game. He's healthy right now, and he does have receivers. They spent a first-round draft pick on a receiver for the first time in I think a decade at least, where they took Golden from Texas. Reed, who's a good young receiver from last year, did get hurt last night, broke his collarbone early in the game, but the guys that came in for him made plays. So you're right. You've said this many times. Great quarterbacks make okay receivers look great. Mm-hmm. And when Jordan Love's throwing the ball like he did, the other thing that I thought too about the Redskins is that we worried about their defense. And are they getting old?
We were worried about them getting a step slow.
Yeah.
A little older. Not being able to, get there to the ball. They played hard. Their offense,
they made it a close game at the end. I mean, they did come back. You're right. They played hard and they made it a game, at least at the end. But I just wonder if that defense is going to hold up. They lost Eckler last night too, to a torn Achilles, which is going to hurt a little bit. They do have pretty good depth at running back, although they traded Brian Robinson to the San Francisco 49ers.
Chances are, if I've drafted you on my fantasy football team, you're going to get it.
Well, Eckler's on one of my teams, so I'm with you.
I have Worthy and I have Eckler.
Well, Worthy, I think, is going to play.
I don't know.
They said that he was at practice yesterday.
I didn't think I couldn't to believe, believe it or not, I couldn't believe he missed the rest of that game last week.
Well, with that, they popped it back in. And is that an injury in football that they would shoot you up and you get back in there, or is the shoulder something as a receiver you really can't?
It's up to the player. All they do is put a harness on you. It's going to pop out again, most likely sometime within the season. And, that's something that you make a decision is if you're going to get the surgery, you do it now, but you're going to miss the rest of the season, or you wait till the season's over and you might miss, the off season and, maybe a couple of games in the next year. But, I got to believe that Worthy's going to try to fight through that.
Yeah, he practiced yesterday, and I think for now at least they think he's going to give it a go.
Was it separated or was it sprained?
No, it popped out and they put it back in.
Okay, so it was dislocated,
mm-hmm.
right? So they put a little harness on there to make sure. And
but as a receiver, even in a harness, especially in that pain, it's going to hamper your game a little bit.
A little bit, but you get used to those things. It's like the knee braces or anything other kind of brace you use. Eventually, you work through those things, and it's not going to hinder him from running fast.
That's for sure.
And that's one thing he does better than anybody in the league.
Yeah.
So, he's still going to be an impact player for them when he's on the field, just because of his ability to stretch the field.
Well, with the Redskins talking about how their defense is getting old, obviously Bobby Wagner, their linebacker's 35. I mean, he's still a good player, but a little step slower. And then Marshawn Lattimore, the guy they traded for the Saints last year, who was all pro, but he was injured last year. supposedly he's healthy now, but I think through 2 games he has like 5 or 6 pass interference or holding calls, and they were going at him last night. Like they were targeting him last night. So if I'm a Redskin fan, I'd be a little worried about that defense. But with Jaden Daniels, you got to hope that maybe he can outscore everybody. And again, in the ball game, and they only gave up 27 points. So I say only, but that's I would take that. I would take that for the Panthers right now every game and sign up for it.
They both missed a couple field goals right at halftime. To have a
both
bit of
doinked off the
both hit the crossbar.
Yeah.
I think actually the Redskins kicker pulled it left, and then the Green Bay kicker hit the crossbar, and then the Redskins kicker, the very next will try to overcorrect and hit the right crossbar.
Which is what happened. Kicking, and I say this because I was a kicker. Kicking is a lot like golf.
Yep.
You start thinking about, I'm playing golf today, and it's going to be the first time I've played 18 holes in a year due to my back. And so, number one, I know I'm going to get tired. Number two, I know I'm going to drink a lot of vodka.
There's 2 things that are going to happen. He's going to cuss, and he's going to get drunk.
I don't cuss as much because I don't have the expectations, which sometimes is a good thing. But when you kick, it's like golf. When you miss a kick and you pull it,
you try to overcorrect.
You try to overcorrect it, and the same thing's in golf. So when kickers get in their heads like that, that's why the great ones don't. And they don't get in their heads. And it seemed like last night the Redskins kicker might have gotten his head a little bit. Another game, and we'll stay in the NFC East, that I'm excited about in the NFL this week. And I know we got a lot of Cowboys out there, fans listening. They showed very well against Philadelphia game 1. If CeeDee Lamb catches the ball, if Ferguson catches the ball, they win that game. CeeDee Lamb, excuse me. And now they come home for the home opener after a bunch of drama and turmoil in the offseason. They trade their best player, but they've got the Giants come marching in. And the Giants offensive line for the last 5-6 years has been putrid, and they bring in new guys this year. You think they fixed it. They're all pro left tackle. Joe Todd gets a big contract, doesn't play. Reminds me of some NBA players that we have here in our town. But he's questionable to play. I don't think he will play. You got Russell Wilson, who has shown that he couldn't play when Denver ate $85 million to get rid of him. He showed, last year, I would say he at least had an okay year for the Steelers. I think he had 17 or 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, but he can't play anymore. He
can't pump the ball down the field, and he doesn't have the
that was his.
He doesn't have the elusivity that he had. I don't know if that's the right word. Elusiveness.
I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant.
It's a coaching term.
Yeah. Elusivity. I know what you meant.
The elusiveness.
I think that's a song by Queensryche. Silent lucidity.
He doesn't have the ability to escape. How's that? Like he did, and make things happen.
And with that offensive line, he needs it.
One of the things that made him a really good player when he was with Seattle is that he would always be able to move around the pocket, out in space, break, contain, played kind of like a running back, type of guy that could throw it down the field. He wasn't gonna beat you deep with his legs, but he was gonna do everything he could and he's a smart player. So everything he could to make those, those first downs. He doesn't have that anymore.
No, he doesn't.
He's become, and he doesn't have the arm to beat you from the pocket. So, teams are gonna pin their ears back when they play him, and that's going to be tough for those offensive linemen who you're already saying is struggling with.
They're struggling, and the Cowboys pass rush was pretty ineffective week 1. I know they brought Clowney in this week for a visit. I don't think they've signed him yet. So if you're the Giants, you at least go, okay, their pass rush isn't like what we went against with the Redskins or some of the other teams they could be going against. But you got a quandary there for their coach, because their coach for the Giants and their quandary.
Is that a new coach or conundrum?
Either he's in both, and him and the GM know that if they don't win games,
our vocabulary, we're creating new words.
I'm an English major and I'm confused. No, but their coach Dayball and their general manager on the hot seat. Obviously, they sucked last year. They got their butts whooped in Washington. Their defense didn't play that bad. They have a great defensive line, although Dexter Lawrence, who's maybe the best defensive tackle football, played like garbage week 1.
He's not had a good start to this season.
He was awful week 1.
I know what he did at Clemson, what his potential is, and I know there's a lot of guys out there.
He's been all pro for the Giants.
When he decides to go, there's really no stopping. It's the motivation to want to get him to go, right? And when you know that your team as a player isn't very good, it's unfortunately kind of what a lot of guys have been doing. I don't know if I could never get myself to do it. I had to play as hard as I could, but when you're super talented like that, and you have a long career ahead against you, sometimes you have the tendency to gear back a little bit.
Well, he had a bad game week 1, but he normally doesn't have 2 in a row. So I think the Giants defense will play hard. They were on the field quite a bit because their offense is so bad. So they need to fix that. Dayball loves Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart had a heck of a preseason. And I guarantee you this, if Russell struggles at the beginning of that game, you will see Jackson Dart. And you know what? It's going to stink because I hate putting a rookie in that early, especially behind an offensive line that's not very good. But Jackson Dart can run. He's a damn good scrambler. He's got a good arm. So and it'll inject some life into that offense. So we'll see. But it would not shock me at all that if Russell starts off bad, if Jackson Dart's not in that game by halftime.
Well, DJ, you're gonna feel the pain that I'm sure that a lot of Steelers fans felt last year, because on the bench, you had a quarterback that was completely capable of making things happen with his legs.
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields obviously goes, in a different direction to the Jets. And
had a great first week. Looked good.
Okay, pretty good opening day.
Looked good.
But as a Steelers fan last year, you start looking at that team and you see him sitting on the bench. He was playing at a Pro Bowl level his first 4 or 5 games of the season. Steelers were undefeated with him out there.
Yep.
And some against some good competition. I believe they beat the Ravens with Fields. So you pull him, you bring Russell Wilson in, you score 32, 33 points. They hadn't done that since Ben Roethlisberger had been there, and everybody thinks that this is the answer. When I believe they're playing the Raiders, in Pittsburgh. So, he kind of took over and was there. But the same type of thing with Russell Wilson, now that he goes to the Giants, you have a capable guy that has the ability to escape, to make things happen. The Giants aren't going to the playoffs.
Correct.
So, sorry to say it. All right?
After game 1, they're certainly not.
You also don't want to damage, Jackson Dart's psyche and throw him out there before he's ready and just let people tee off on him. The message you send to the team when that happens as well, one of 2 things are going to happen. Either it's going to be lightning in a bottle, and this guy is going to turn into Kurt Warner.
Like we saw with some rookies last year with Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels and some of those guys.
And you say, okay, we got a future now. Or this kid's going to turn into David Carr, right?
Or Daniel Jones, who had a great year about 3-4 years ago, and then behind that offensive line just took a beating. And then we saw what he did with the Colts last week when he looked great because he has an offensive line in front of him. So, we'll see what happens with that Giants game. The other game I want to talk about in the NFL before we get to the Panthers, and we're going to break that game down pretty good, is the Chiefs and the Eagles. So the Chiefs coming off a loss against San Diego. They looked awful the first half. Second half, Mahomes kind of got it going. You mentioned they lost Worthy. Philadelphia squeaks by the Cowboys. Hurts does his thing. Saquon does his thing. They didn't have Jalen Carter playing because obviously what happened before the game when he got ejected. So he's going to come out with a vengeance in this game. And it's a must win for Kansas City. I mean, in the NFL, if you look at the stats of teams making the playoffs that start 0-2, ain't many of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the Panthers are in that same boat. So if you're Kansas City and you're at home and your home opener, you said Kansas City might be the loudest place you've ever played, I believe.
One of them.
So, the fans there are going to be nuts, and pumped up, but Philadelphia whooped them in the Super Bowl. They had very good success with the deep ball against them. So, I expect Hurts to be throwing the ball more in this game than he did against the Cowboys, especially downfield, because Kansas City is going to do their best to try to slow Saquon down. But that's a big game. If Kansas City loses that 0-2, not that it's over for them, but like I said, the stats of making the playoffs when you start the season 0-2 drop dramatically.
We don't realize sometimes as, we're in it, what we're actually watching, right? And there's certain players that are capable of maintaining that level of success, through year after year after year after year. You remember the Michael Jordans, the Tom Brady's, the Tiger Woods, right? There's a handful of guys that can do that, right? I think that for the Kansas City Chiefs, if Patrick Mahomes wants to be compared to those guys, when you look at the numbers and you want to compare him to Brady, you want to compare him to, whether it's Peyton Manning or whoever the elite quarterbacks that you want to throw in that category are, then this is a time where he's got to carry this team. Everybody around Kelsey's getting a little older, even though he had some efficiency in that first game. The line is still pretty good. You still have some pieces, but he's got to make those guys around him better. And that's where Worthy's going to have to figure out how to get the ball into his playmakers' hands. And he made some great plays last week, but just
second half he looked really good.
Just not enough to beat the Chargers. They couldn't stop anybody on defense, and that's where they've really been pretty good on the defensive side. But since the Eagles game last year, and since what they did to them in the way that they ran right down their throat, and it looked like they opened up a can of whoop ass. San Diego did the same thing. I mean, he scored 27 points. I just don't see what's going to change with Philadelphia. Philadelphia, to me, still has room to grow and get better. Hurts is a guy that just isn't shaken. It's a quiet confidence and leadership with him and that team.
Yep.
Mahomes is the same type of thing, maybe a little bit more boisterous, but this is a huge game for Mahomes. If this team wants to do, what few teams have done, that's going to Super Bowls back to back,
3 straight years, right?
Right. So name me the last team to do it.
I think the last team to do it, if I'm not mistaken, was Buffalo.
And they went to 4 and lost them all.
Yeah, exactly. So they're trying to.
That's the one that comes to mind for me too. The Niners have been in there a couple of times. The Cowboys have been there a couple of times. The Patriots have been in there, but they didn't even go back to back to back. As good as Tom Brady was, so it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard to play that many games the year before and to continue to grow and build and get there another year. Every team is going to go through that little struggle where a year you're going to maybe just not have it. There's something missing. You've burnt out a little bit. You've lost that flame. It feels to me like Kansas City is kind of right there teetering on, are we going to be a good team, or are we just going to be, we're still going to win a lot of games, but we're not going to be the quality of team that we've had, and the confidence and the momentum is not going to be there.
Well, their division's gotten tougher. I mean, look, San Diego, I call them still San Diego. The Chargers are legit. We saw that. The Raiders, with Pete Carroll coming in there, went on the road, one of the Patriots. They're a better football team. Raiders actually play Chargers this weekend, which will be fun to watch too.
We're going to find out. Yeah, we're going to find out who the real and who the fake
is.
That'll
be fun to watch. It's in Vegas, but Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh do not like each other.
Nope.
And it goes back to when Harbaugh was the 49ers and Pete Carroll was with Seattle.
Yep.
I think Pete Carroll had a quote the other day when they asked him about Harbaugh. He goes, I don't have any fond memories of Harbaugh. So I don't know if he meant that because Harbaugh might have beat his butt some. But
Carroll, if you remember, left USC to go to Seattle, and that's when Harbaugh took over. He took over, in that same kind of regime. When you look at, he didn't take over at SC, but he came in and, he was at San Francisco.
Yeah.
I don't know what the beef is between those two.
They don't like each other. And look, not a lot of guys like Harbaugh, but that'll be
maybe it was San Francisco when he was in San Francisco.
It was Seattle, San Fran. Yeah. And so there's definitely a beef there. So that'll be fun to watch. But let's get to the game that I think most people that are watching and will watch later tonight are excited about. Is the Panthers at Arizona. Panthers, we don't need to beat a dead horse.
Who's excited about that game?
I'm pumped. I get excited even when the Panthers stink. I'm excited to watch them. And I'll tell you the reason I'm excited to watch this game. There's more than one. There's a few. Number one, we beat them we beat the Cardinals last year in overtime. I think it was 33-30, if I'm not mistaken, 36-30. We seem to have had, if there's a team that we had their number, I think we're 15-6 all time against them. We all remember the one playoff game where Jake Delhomme, I think, threw 4 or 5 interceptions. But
2008,
we seem to have their number.
Warner, that was the year that they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Steelers. With that last,
was that Santonio Holmes catch in the end zone?
Catch in the end zone, and James Harrison 99-yard return.
Yeah, so we seem to have good luck against the Cardinals. The Cardinals are coming in after a 2013 win in New Orleans against the Saints. Everyone has the Saints picked as maybe the worst team in football, but they fought hard, they played hard, and so here's a few things I'm excited about as far as this game. Number one, I want to see how our offense rebounds. Okay. I want to see them get the plays in on time. I want to see Bryce take control, and I want to see some energy out of this offense. All right, so that's number one. It looks like Icky's going to come back at left tackle, which is going to help immensely.
Left tackle played pretty good last.
He didn't play bad, but I think he graded out in the 40s, so he didn't play that good. But he held his own, I guess, for a guy that was getting put in that position. But Icky coming back, certainly a huge upgrade. But what I'm really excited about was when Canales this week in his press conference, and this statement kind of befuddled me. There's another big word. Was when he said that he's been pushing our defensive coordinator and the defensive staff to play some of these rookies more. And he's talking about Scorton, who, by the way, if you're into these metrics and all these things, had the quickest off the ball speed than any defensive end in football last week. But he only played, I want to say, 12 plays. Umanelan, who I can't ever get his name right, Princely, same thing, and Ransom. Those three rookies on defense, I have a feeling, and Avero, our defensive coordinator, alluded to it yesterday in his press conference, that you are going to see those guys more. He didn't get into who and why and what, but he did say you're going to see more. So that excites me, because on a defense,
I don't know if you remember this, when we were going through the draft, we were talking to somebody about the D coordinator, and the reason why they weren't going to take the kid from Georgia was because they weren't sure if they're going to be able to center the defense around it because of his favoritism towards playing
veterans.
Veteran players.
John Fox was the same way, if you remember.
So
remember how long he kept D'Angelo Williams on the bench, and I used to get so mad. Why isn't that Nick? Because every time he did get in, he'd bust off a 20-yard run. And you're right. Now it sounds like when Canales made that statement first, I thought, you're the head coach, dude. If you want him in there, put him in there. Second of all, that's
not the way that works.
Well, it could work that way for sure. I guarantee you, on every successful team we name.
Like, you want to call the defense here, you call the defense.
Well, it could, but when a coach wants to see youth get in there, they get in there. But secondly, it made me, whenever Rose said they are going to play more, I think that's a good thing. I'm excited to see that, because we had no pass rush last week, none. And so now you're going to put your two defensive ends, your shiny new toys that you drafted in the second and third round. You're going to have Ransom, who we took in the fifth round, the safety out of Ohio State. You're going to inject some of this new blood in there, and they can't be worse than what we've had. That's for sure. So I'm excited to see those guys play, and I hope they get a lot of playing time. Kyler Murray last week against the Saints was sacked 5 times. Okay, 5 times. And the Saints are not world beaters on defense. We would all agree. So he is prone to holding the ball a little too long, trying to make too many things happen. So the sacks should be there to get in this game. If we come out of this game without getting 3-4 sacks, then that's going to be a huge indictment on. And again, I know these young guys are going to have to learn and get experience. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the veterans. We've got to get in there and get to him and put some pressure on him. But I am excited about seeing the young guys on defense. And then I'm excited on offense to see Tet McMillan, who had a great first game, almost came down with he did come down with one circus catch that they called a PI on, but he almost had another one in the end zone that he says he should have had. But he's going up against Will Howard. Will Howard's a second-round pick out of Michigan for the Cardinals. He played corner. Had a great first game. A lot of people even in the draft were saying this kid's going to be a steal. And he looked every bit of that in that first game. So I'm excited to see the McMillan-Howard matchup. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. for the Cardinals. He had a touchdown in game 1. He kind of had a quiet, good rookie year last year. I think he had 8 touchdowns. But in camp, he looked really good. He had a touchdown. I think he had 67 yards in the first game, catching, if I'm not mistaken. But here's what worries me. We can't stop the run. We didn't stop it last year, and we didn't stop it last week. And you can sit here and say, if you minus those 2 long runs from Etienne, we did a better job. Okay, I'll give you that. We still didn't stop the run. And Arizona comes in with James Conner, who is 87 years old, and all he does is still continue to impress. They've got Benson, the second-year kid out of Florida State, who had, I think, 67 yards rushing last week on 8 or 9 rushes. So we've got to stop the run. And then you got Kyler Murray, who can run, right? So you've got 3 weapons that can run the ball. We've got to stop the run. But the thing that scares me the most is Arizona has definitely top 3 tight end in the league in McBride. And Murray loves throwing him the ball. I think he averages 7 or 8 receptions a game. I think last week he had 7 for 67. He had 6 for 61. And the Panthers linebackers can't cover anybody. And we saw the tight end from Jacksonville last week shine and flash, and he looked really good. And McBride's a heck of a lot better than that kid is. So the tight end position for Arizona and the running game for Arizona scares me, because our defense has not shown the ability to stop either one of them in quite a long time.
So let me talk to you from an Arizona Cardinals perspective. I played for that team as well. And if we're doing this podcast and we're both in Arizona right now, not in Carolina, what are we saying about the Carolina Panthers and the Cardinals? Cardinals have to do what? They have to run the football. We're playing against the worst defense in the history of the NFL.
Yep.
Running the football, guys. Right. So if we can't run the ball against this ragbad bunch of team, these guys, then we can't run the ball against them. If they get one sack against us, we are not very good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They didn't have any last week. They didn't even sniff the quarterback. Right. And we gave up 5. So we need to improve and keep these guys out. So, we're talking about jobs on the line. We won our first game. They lost. All right. We have these great wide receivers. Marvin Harrison has got to eat. These linebackers go over the middle. They can't cover me. Right. Marvin Harrison's going to go out there. And we got a quarterback that's capable of making everybody miss. He might be the best running back on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to have the ball in his hand every time. The Cardinals should blow out the Carolina Panthers because they're terrible. They're worse than us. Even though last year's game was close, we are that much better, right? We're better at receiver. We have the better receiver. We have the better line. We have the better quarterback, and we need to go out there and blow these guys out. If we don't, then we got some concerns. That's the way the Arizona Cardinals are talking about the Carolina Panthers.
No question.
Carolina Panthers aren't getting any respect.
I saw a graphic yesterday, and it was like 15 NFL analysts made their picks. And how many of those 15 do you think took the Cardinals to win this game?
All of them.
Correct.
And you're going to be 16.
And 17.
Yeah, I mean. So that's the Panthers have not gotten any better.
Well, I don't want to say that. We'll see. I mean, you can't say that after one game. We saw a lot of the same tendencies. Unfortunately,
here's what I'm looking forward to with the Panthers, and it's not that whether they're going to win or lose the game because that's irrelevant. They're not a playoff team, right? Is Bryce Young going to improve?
Correct.
Is Leggett going to start making some plays? What do we have? Do we have a lemon, or do we have at least some sort of stability in a Ford or in a Chevy, in a car that is at least going to do something, right? I don't want a lemon. I don't want a Fiat.
Well, especially when you trade up in the first round to get him, he's got to make plays. He's got to be, at least now with McMillan on this team, he's got to be a good number 2 receiver.
McMillan, who do we have in this kid? I mean, I think he had a good week 1.
Sure, absolutely he did.
For his rookie debut, I think he went out there and showed up. Had 6 catches, had targeted a bunch. Is he going to be a one-hit wonder, or is he just going to be, a guy that we can count on, right? Is he a guy that we can build around? Okay, now we got something. Because other than Chuba Hubbard, right? Can we continue to keep the ball and give him the rock and get some yards? Because other than that, there's really not a lot to be excited for about this team. You can talk about those rookies all you want. If I'm playing a rookie, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to kick his ass every single day. The Arizona Cardinals, when those top draft choices the Panthers picked in the second round, if I don't wear him out as a starting offensive lineman in this league, I'm not very good. I'm not going to keep my job very long. I'm licking my chops and I'm playing a rookie. I'm going to go out there and wear his little ass out. And I'm going to beat him up, and I'm going to show him, welcome to the NFL, and I'm going to tell him that every single time. The Arizona Cardinals are feeling the same way when a rookie comes up and lines up against me, right? This isn't, a guy like Micah Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And we have second-round picks, right? If you're a second-round pick rookie coming, you might be good in college, but this ain't college, son. And I'm going to teach you real quick, little boy, that this is grown man football. That's the way offensive linemen are looking at us when you bring rookies in. So what does flashing mean? What does all these other things count for? They don't count for anything. They look better than the trash we have out there, and hopefully they'll continue to grow.
Well, and they are rookies. But look, you don't expect
rookies,
them.
And I'm going to beat up a rookie.
And you're talking from the Arizona standpoint, and I don't disagree with you at all.
I'm talking from an ex-player.
Yeah,
if I played against a rookie that was a second rounder,
sure,
and I was a 4th rounder.
Yeah,
but I'm a damn starter in the NFL for 5 years.
Yep.
I'm going to go out there and wear this little kid's ass out.
Well, I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying, as a Panther fan, when you do draft guys in the second round, the third round, and you need help at defensive end, we had no pass rush last week.
They'll be better than what we have.
And that's fine. And my point is, as a Panther fan, you're going to be at least excited to see what they do. And, maybe they come in there and they play great. They're going to have bad plays. There's going to be times where they miss a tackle.
That's my point. You want to see the flashes.
I want to.
There's no doubt.
I want to see them make some plays.
If we're gonna pull back our expectations on what they're going to be, I'm all for that. Well, for the Panther fans, if you're looking to go out there and we're going to be this great team now because these guys are out here,
no, listen.
Which I think I understand your position a little better. I want to. Yeah, those guys should flash. They should make a play. They're like, okay, that kid has something, right? That's the way rookies start off, right? You start off making a play here, making a play there, getting an opportunity and showcasing your ability. But you're not going to be a consistent, dominant guy until you have a couple of you got the seasoning on your belt. Unless you're just that guy,
right?
We don't have him.
No, there's not many of those.
We don't have him on our roster. We don't have him. We don't have that guy. Not one of our guys is him, right? So
not yet, for sure.
We don't have him.
Not yet. We don't
have him.
McMillan could be that guy. He could be that guy.
He doesn't have.
Not now, but he could be. And we don't know about these rookies because they haven't played. Yep. And they're not going to be that guy tomorrow or Sunday.
There's a reason why they haven't played, because if they
you just said the coach doesn't like playing young guys.
If they were him, there would be no way that any coach would keep them off the field.
Well, but you have to
regardless.
But you have to put that in contrast of the fact that there's not a lot of rookies, period, that come in and that are him. I mean, there are very few, and they're usually, like you said, top picks, right? Micah Parsons, those guys.
They've built themselves. At least they know they're the guys that are going to get reps. Well, and I can't keep them off the field.
Well, when the head coach says to the defensive coordinator, "Look, dude, I've been seeing these guys in practice. I saw put them in the game.
You don't think the D coordinator is the same?
But you just said the D coordinator. One of the issues with him is he doesn't like playing young guys
because he hasn't seen them flash.
Well, because he's also worried that they're not going to be in position that he wants.
That's right.
Right. The experience.
They haven't been more consistent than the guys I have starting.
And so, and what I'm saying is, when you're the Panthers, and you're not making the Super Bowl this year, making the playoffs is a far reach, then get those kids out there. So, and I hope by the end of the year, maybe you got one of those guys or two of those guys.
At least you know what you got.
Exactly. And so that's
whether you have the seasoning or whether you need to go out and draft again.
Right. Nothing drives me crazier when a team has these young guys on the bench who have some height behind them and they don't play them and they suck anyway. Put them in there. It ain't going to be worse. So let them get experience so that maybe if they are good, going in, like you just said, going into next year, now you know what you got. So I'm excited they're going to play these guys.
I understand it's easy for us to sit back and say those things, but as a coach out there, accountable to, the guys that I'm coaching and accountable to winning, right? I'm trying to do what is the best, puts us in the best. I'm not trying to, I don't have the time or the patience in this league to wait for those guys to develop. They have to develop, in time with practice and those things, and they have to earn those spots. If those guys are there and they're earning those spots, then I would agree. If in practice these guys
sounds like they have.
If these guys in practice and in preseason were dominating their opponents and they were just so good that they're flashing, I'm going to get that guy some reps.
Yep. I mean, and that's what all I'm saying. Get him in there.
They know that
because they're not going to be worse. Let's put it this way: if they get no sacks, guess what? We had no sacks. If they get 2 sacks and there's 2, we're in the +2 zone. So get him in there. If Ransom gets beat on a deep ball playing safety, okay, so what? If he gets in here and helps against the run, which by the way is his forte.
As a player that had as a veteran player. If you're the safety that you just brought in,
he had a good first game.
And I'm busting my ass to do everything. I don't care about the rookies' feelings. I want the guys that are going to be inconsistent to win.
Okay, but let me. I
want the best players out here.
Great. Well, guess what? Let me tell you something. You want to win. That's number one. The guys that have been out there. Let's use Nick Scott for an example. The other safety. He was awful last year, and he wasn't good. He's the one that missed a tackle on Etienne that he broke the 80-yard run on. Canals even called him out. So he hasn't played well. So you see this rookie Ransom, who, by the way, they love him. The players love him. They think, he's a hard hitter.
We don't know if the players love him.
No, we do. In interviews, they've all said this kid's going to be a player.
They love everybody.
Well, they love him, and the coaching staff loves him. He's played great in preseason. Get him in there.
Love Scott
My
too.
point. they may love him as a guy, but let me tell you something. I love you. You love me as a guy, but guess what? If you're picking a golf team that you're going to go play for, even
captain's choice,
you ain't picking me. So
you're a pretty good putter. We got
well, I mean,
you have potential.
You'd have more fun.
You have potential.
You'd have a lot more fun.
Let me ask
the
you
music
this.
selection would be a lot better.
We can play that game. Let's play that game. You're a kid coming from college. Let's say it's DJ Stout. You have some accolades behind you, and you've done this and you've done that. But it comes to the big stage and the bright lights, and you just you don't contribute.
How do you know? You don't know unless I get in the game.
Because I've seen it in practice.
But what I'm saying is in practice, and we can only go by what Joe Person says and what Michael Kay said. And these guys have said that those defensive ends have looked damn good all through preseason. Even in the scrimmages against the Browns and I think the Texans, I think both guys had sacks. Or Scorton, actually, the first preseason game was, and again, preseason, so I'm not saying it's the real deal, but he can only do what he did. And the first preseason game, he was the number 1 ranked defensive end that played that weekend. So they've shown enough to get time. Canales said, when the head coach says it, I believe it. We didn't get to see practices because the Panthers didn't let anybody come to practice this year because of not going to Wofford. So we didn't see it. You're right. But get him in the game. Let's see what happens. And you know what? You also have to hope, and I think this is more to your point, the players that you do know are good, the Derek Browns, the Robinsons,
those are the guys
losing Turk Wharton. Turk Wharton was having a really good game last week, and he's going to be out for, I guess, 4 weeks with a hamstring. That hurts. But Bobby Brown, you brought him in from the Rams. He's supposed to be a great run stopper. Stop the damn run. Derek Brown, who I went back and watched the game again, and somebody had broke down the film of different players. He actually had a pretty good game, missed a couple sacks by a little bit, but guess what? He's got to get them. And Murray's going to be harder to tackle than Trevor Lawrence. So I get it. So the guys that we count on are going to have to bring it. Bryce Young, probably the biggest one of all of them. He's going to have to make plays. And I saw a stat, and I think I sent it to you.
The overthrown balls, and this is how
or underthrown. So the one to Renfro.
This is how critical, right? Every little play is in the NFL because you only have. I've told you this a million times. You only have about 4 plays that are going to make the difference between winning and losing. Imagine this. You say Bryce Young had a C game last week? I
mean, he graded out as a 71.
No,
I thought he was a C.
What was your grade?
I thought he was a C because I thought the one interception, even though I watched that replay 10 times and it does look like it should have been pass interference, the guy hit.
Yeah, okay.
Look at it as he went
in, and that's fine. Imagine if he connects and doesn't overthrow or underthrow those 2 passes.
Well, Renfro was wide open.
He goes from whatever 150 yards now to 300 yards. And that C turns into what? 2 plays.
No doubt.
2 plays.
Or if Leggett gets his feet down, that's another.
I'm talking 2 plays.
Yeah, 2 or 3 plays. You're right.
So those 2 plays, he goes from a C to an A, but that's how we judge guys. That's the difference because the consistency of every player out there is going to be that. What do you do for those 2 plays that separates, where you're going to be you're going to have a great game or you're just going to have an average game? It's a sack, right? It's Derek Brown, instead of almost getting those sacks, getting there, right? Those are the different. We're not getting there. We're almost getting there. So we only judge based on our productivity, not our potential.
Yep.
There's a lot of guys with potential that I've played with out there for years.
Yeah.
Right. And you have all the hype around.
What do you say? You call them look like Tarzan, play like Jane.
Yeah, but I judge you based on your productivity, not your potential.
Well, I'm excited to see those young guys get out there. I hope they are productive. I can't imagine they're any less productive than what we've seen. I hope
that's the truth.
We also know they're going to have some bad plays too. As a rookie, do the experience like you just talked about. But I think at defensive end, it's a little bit different than putting a guy at cornerback, at corner where he's one-on-one against a baddest receiver. Where at defensive end, you're either stopping the run or rushing the quarterback.
You would think that in a 4-3 defense, but in a 3-4, there's a lot more responsibility.
No doubt
that those ends, those outside backers, is what we'd call them.
Yep.
Have they have to know coverages, they have to know blitzes, they have to know routes that the other team's going to run. They have to know when they got contained, when they got force. There's a lot of things that, they have to know which gap I have if we're running this blitz, where am I supposed to be if we're running that blitz? Those are the things that, go through these. And some guys, buddy, especially on the defense side, I'm an offensive guy and we're like, let's motion as much as we can because those guys aren't very smart.
They're inexperienced.
Well, no, they're just dumb. Right?
Defensive guys.
Defensive guys are just dumb. So the more we motion and the more we make them think, the less chance they have to be successful because now they have to think and they can't just react. when those guys are that guy's way better of an athlete than I am.
Right.
But at least I have the ability to outthink him and get a head start. I get a head start. I put myself in position to be successful. If we don't make them think and they can just tee off on us, we don't have a chance. So, those are the things that we don't know, sitting here, and Joe Person doesn't know sitting there. Who does know? The coaches know. And
the coaches are the ones that said they need to play more. That's all I'm saying. So
we don't have it. But
if
can't do any worse, is what the coaches are saying.
Regardless, get them in there. So that I'm excited to see those guys play. I expect to see them play a lot. And I think Ransom, by the way, is gonna play more than the other two. And I think he's gonna be a player. We'll see. Hopefully, all three of them are players because God knows they need it. We're gonna pick that game, but we'll do it last.
I was gonna say
now let's go to our picks because I know we got to wrap up. Frank's 10-5 on the season. I'm 7-8.
Is that all?
Yeah, we
got 10 wins.
Yep, 10-5. I'm 7-8. Today we're going to do 12 games. 10 of them are the same, or excuse me, 8 of them are the same.
Man, he's trying to catch up on me, Big D.
Well,
he's not going that 5-game stuff.
And I tell you,
6 games. He's trying to catch up in 1 week, doubling down.
And I tell you what, the games that we're picking today. So you pick 2, I pick 2, and then we're doing 8 of the same.
Okay.
And 2 of the game, or shoot, a lot of the games I'm on the fence on, but I'm just going to make the pick. So let's start off with college. We got Georgia at Tennessee.
So let's do this so that so people don't think that I have an advantage because I got a 4-game advantage on you.
Yeah.
I know. What's our record again?
You're 10-5. You have a 3-game. You're up 3 on.
I'm up 3. I'm plus 3 on you. So
we tied last week.
I don't want to just pick the same game. So I'll tell you what. You pick 1 game first, and I'll pick 1 game first. So when we're doing our 8 games, I'm going to go first, and then you go first the next time.
Gotcha.
And I go first the next time. And we'll alternate who
goes
first.
All right. Let's start Georgia, Tennessee. Probably the biggest college game of the weekend.
Is this both games picking? I go first.
You go first.
I'm taking Georgia.
All right.
What's the spread?
It's 3.5.
Who's favored?
Georgia.
Okay, I'm taking Georgia.
All right. So now
who do you got?
I'm gonna take Georgia.
You're gonna take Georgia too.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Now you go.
All right. Next game, Vandy, South Carolina.
Oh, this is a no-brainer for me. I'm putting a bunch of money on this.
We're both taking South Carolina.
We're both taking South Carolina.
Clemson, Georgia Tech.
What's the spread?
Clemson 2.5.
I would put the house on Clemson.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I think that might be.
This doesn't bode well for me coming back.
If I at Lee Sterling, if I had the units that would be a 50-unit game.
By the way, Lee has a 50-unit play. So if you go to ParamountSports.com, he's got a 50-unit this week. He hit his big 40-unit last week with Baylor, which it
was a 50-unit.
Yeah, 50-unit. We sweated our butts off on it, but he got it, and that's all.
Might say, we got lucky.
Well, whatever you want to call it, we got it. I don't care.
I'll pump the site.
It's a W.
It was a W.
I'll take luck.
Don't care how it happened.
I'll take
Sometimes, luck. You know what? That just shows me that Vegas is real.
Dude.
And they have an impact on these games one way or the other because when I think of a 50-unit game, I'm thinking, okay, somebody messed it up.
Right.
This is going to be a blowout. And South Carolina or Clemson are going to be up by 21 at halftime. That's a 50-unit game, not a 7-7 game with a nail biter. Everybody's scoring. I have to get some. I mean, what a crazy game!
It was a crazy game. But if you're Lee, that's 50-unit winner.
It's a 50-unit win. It's a 50-unit win for us.
We'll take it. All right, next game, 4th game. This is me first. We got South Florida at Miami. I'm going to take South Florida only because I think 17.5 points is a lot of points. And I think that quarterback is going to at least make some hay. And that's a tough one, but I'm going to go South Florida.
What's the
17.5?
7. Oh, I got them right here too. So the game's at Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take Miami.
Okay.
I think Miami is the real deal. I think their quarterback, with Beck, I think that they're going to, Miami. I'm taking Miami, 17.5.
Gotcha. All right. You go first on this one. Texas A&M at Notre Dame. Notre Dame minus 6.5.
I'm not sold on Notre Dame's quarterback yet.
I'm not either.
Texas plays pretty good defense. I'm going to take A&M and the points.
I'm going to go Notre Dame on that one because we
I wouldn't touch these games if I'm betting.
Oh, me either. That's what I'm saying. I mean, these are tough games.
They're coin flips. Really.
Yeah, they're tough, and we beat A&M pretty fairly last year in A&M.
If it was a head up game, and we're just picking teams, I would take Notre Dame. But 6.5.
I'm with you.
I think it's a 4-point game.
Yeah, and it probably will be, but I'm going to go Notre Dame. I think having a week off, they got to fix some of the issues.
They get a chance to make some ground.
Yeah, so hopefully they do. Next one, we're going to go into the NFL. This is my pick first, and it's Denver at Indianapolis. Denver's -1.5. Denver squeezed by Tennessee at home in their home opener. Now they go to Indianapolis, Indianapolis laid the wood to Miami. Miami's not very good, but Indianapolis looked pretty good on both sides of the ball. I'm going to go Indy +1.5.
Okay. I think this is where our local boy comes back to reality. I like Indy. They were my favorite. They were my
sleeper.
But I like Denver better. I just think that they're built for the road. They're built to go travel. They're good defense. They run the football. They have an experienced coach and the quarterback that has a lot of moxie. I'm taking Denver.
Denver was my pick to win that division, so that was a tough pick as well. But I just think Indy looked pretty good week one.
That's a game changer for us. We got two differences there too.
Yep, right? Yep. Philly, Kansas City. Philly's -1.5.
And it's my pick at Kansas City.
Yep.
This is a must-win for Kansas City. Philly feeling pretty good. They don't play in the same division. At Kansas City, I hate it. Philly's. I've become a big Jalen Hurts fan. I love the way Philly plays the game, offensively and defensively. I think they're the best team in football, but I do feel like this will be one of their losses this year. I'm taking Kansas City. +1.5. I'm taking Philly. So we got some different ones now. That's good. All right, now here comes the games. I picked 2. You picked 2. I'm going Oklahoma at Temple. We forgot one.
Yeah, the Panthers, right?
Yeah, we forgot.
We're gonna do that last.
Okay, we'll do that last.
Oklahoma at Temple. Oklahoma's -23.5. The reason I picked this game.
This is your team. These are the 2 picks. So those are all our picks.
Yep.
Now these next 4 picks. 2 are the ones that you picked that I didn't pick, and 2 are the ones I picked.
Yep.
But you have a chance to make some good
or get way down in the hole.
Yeah.
We'll see. Oklahoma at Temple. The reason I picked this game is Oklahoma coming off a huge win at Michigan. Now they go to Temple. Temple's always bad, it seems. They're off to a 2-0 start, but they're usually not very good.
They're playing them where?
It's in Temple, but Oklahoma has another huge game next week, and so I'm thinking this is your classic. Don't show a lot, get in and out of there as quick as you can. I wish it was more points than 23.5. I could see that hook getting me at 24. But I'm going to go Temple. I was talking to my buddy Scott Wilson last night, and he was reading some stats to me, and I just thought, you know what? I'm going to throw it out there. And I hate betting Temple.
I thought for sure you were taking Oklahoma.
Nah, Temple.
I don't disagree
lose every
with that.
time I take them.
I don't disagree with that. You're playing on a 2-0 home game. Temple can play with a lot of people. They've given everybody.
But they're usually pretty bad.
Yeah. They've
and Oklahoma look really good. I just think this is the classic look ahead.
Yeah.
Let's not show a lot.
Let down.
Let's get in and out of there and be done. I'll buy if I bet the game.
Let's get up 2 touchdowns and start running the ball.
Right. And if I bet it, I'm buying the hook to get it to 24 for sure. But I'm going with Temple.
Okay.
Who are you going with?
Oh, you're gonna pick both of them, or are you just telling the one and I'm gonna take one? I'm not picking that game. Those are your 2 teams.
Oh, okay. So I don't pick your games. Okay, I was confused. All right. The next game that I have then is the Giants.
That way we can differentiate in case we all pick the same over here.
Gotcha.
Can be completely different over here.
All right. So my next game is the Giants at Dallas. I'm taking Dallas -5.5. We broke that game down a little earlier, but here's a stat that sealed it for me. Dallas has beat the Giants 8 in a row and 14 of 15.
Ooh.
So when it comes to owning a team, they have owned the Giants. The Giants are coming in there. Their offense looks putrid. I do think their defense is going to play well, but Dak Prescott looked really good against the Eagles. Like I said, he had some drops that cost him of having a much bigger game. But I think home opener in Dallas, they played hard that first game in Philly, coming off all that turmoil and trading their best player. They played fast. So I think offensively they're going to be pretty good. So I'm taking Dallas.
They played like a chip on the shoulder, like somebody might have spat in their face before the game.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that might have had something to do with it.
Maybe.
We'll see.
All right, go to your 2.
But just make sure the Giants don't spit in their face because it makes them play hard.
If the Giants showed that much heart on offense, I'd be elated.
Okay with that?
I'd be elated.
and it is New York, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, they're used to that.
They're used to it. My 2 games that I'm taking, I think that Ohio State's the best team in the country. I think they have talent everywhere. They are going to make a statement. They won last week convincingly, 70 to whatever it was. They blew them out. This is another blowout. Ohio State -29 over Ohio.
Yep.
That's the game I'm taking. It's in Ohio State. Ohio's, that game has been close and past. But heck, I mean,
Ohio State's defense looked great.
Ohio State's defense looked great. If they're motivated, Ohio was not going to be able to score.
Yep.
If they get 7.
By the way, in that game, I mentioned this on Monday, but if you're going to watch that game, and there's not a whole lot of reasons to watch it if you're not an Ohio State fan, or an Ohio fan, but something to look for. I told you, Bo Jackson's son, who we both agree, Bo Jackson is one of the best athletes we've ever seen in our lives. His son was a highly recruited running back. Went to Ohio State. They got him in the game last week. He didn't play against Texas, but last week he had and they played nobody, but he had 9 rushes for 100-something yards, looked fast and not as big as his dad, but I think taller. But if you're watching that game, pay attention to Bo Jackson Jr. He looked pretty good.
Who's the Smith? The
Jeremiah Smith.
He's not had a Heisman game yet.
No.
Right?
Well, they've only had one, but you're right. He dropped a lot of balls against Texas.
He was frustrated. He wanted the ball more. He looked at the quarterback to get him the ball more. I can promise you, he is going to have a big game.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Ohio, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is going to be his Heisman coming out showcase game. When you look back and say, this is the reason why.
Yeah.
Because, he's a big guy, fast guy playing against small guys.
He's a beast.
And getting him the ball, he's gonna break out this game.
Yep.
Houston, Colorado is my other game. Deion. I do like Deion as a coach. I do like the message he sends. I do think that he does things the right way at Colorado. He wants these men to be better men and good football players. He makes them go to class. He makes them sit up in the front of the class. He makes them take their shades and their hoodies off. He wants the best for these guys. I just don't think they have the talent at Colorado. Houston is 2-0. They're -4. They have great athletes there. And I just think it's going to be their time. Colorado's on the 3rd-string quarterback, and that's going to be too much.
But he chose him on purpose. I mean, it's not because of injuries. They put him in because, Deion loves him, and they put him in the game last week, and he looked great. He had a bomb right off the bat. So it didn't
he either loves him or he's trying to send a message to these other quarterbacks.
Yeah. Well, Deion said he had a plan. When people said, he goes, I've got a plan. So I would fully expect the 5-star recruit freshman to get some playing time as well, but he is starting the 3rd-string guy. So
this is a message game to the 5-star recruit. I'm playing the 3rd-string quarterback in front of you. You just because you have all those stars behind your name doesn't make you a player.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, what's your last game?
That was it. Houston -4. Ohio State -29.
All right, so you got Houston. And then the last game that we haven't picked yet, Panthers, Arizona. We just broke that game down. Huge game for the Panthers. We talked about not starting off 0-2. Then they come home against Atlanta. So you don't want to come back 0-2 against Atlanta. You want to come back 1-1 with a chance to be 2-1 against a division rival. Right now, Arizona's laying 6.5. They're at home. That game's a 4:15 kick. Who you got?
It's not even close. If you gave me 14 points, I'm taking Arizona. I think this is. I just feel like early in the season, from what we've seen in years past, since Bryce has been there, he starts off slow. I would expect Bryce to get benched before the Panthers to win.
Wow. Well, I picked the Jags last week and bet the Jags. One of the only games I won last week, I think. But I think we're going to see the offense that we saw towards the end of last year, this game. I think that some of the issues they had with getting the plays in on time and all that crap, I think that I know they worked on that a lot this week, which is amazing that they had to. They should have had that stuff figured out before the season.
Being on the road with young players.
I'm with you, but
this is on the road.
Getting 6.5 points. Now, I think Arizona's going to win the game, but I think getting 6.5 points, I think it's going to be a tight game. The track record the Panthers have against the Cardinals, I counted that in. The fact we beat them last year, 36-30. And I know
that track record includes Arizona coming to Carolina. Teams coming from the west to the east have a lot lower winning percentage than going from east to west.
No doubt. But I just have a feeling Evero's used to playing against Murray. I think he puts a good game plan against Murray. And a lot of this is also me just praying that they can stop the run, because if they can't, I do think McBride's going to kill him, and he's on one of my fantasy teams. So
James Conner's on mine.
Yeah, and he's
big day for James Conner. He may not have the 150 yards rushing, but he's going to have 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Well, and they don't give him the rushes to get there. I mean, if he gets 150, he's running the ball 10 or 12 times. He gets 150 yards, we're done. But Benson, their backup, the second-year kid from Florida State is fast, explosive. So, yeah, there's a lot to like about that Arizona team. I just think that after getting embarrassed in Jacksonville, after looking bad, after not getting plays in, after high snaps, after drops and not getting your feet in, after getting run on over 200 yards for the 9th time, I believe, in like 20-something games.
This will be the 10th.
Well, for 200, I hope. Well, if that's the case, then we ain't gonna win.
Arizona Cardinals will rush for 200.
We also got to take care of the ball. You know, Bryce had 2 interceptions plus a fumble. The interception, you know, one of them wasn't his fault. Dowdle totally dropped it. The other one could be argued about, but the fumble was definitely his fault. And that was a big play of the game. When he fumbled that, we were driving. He also missed Renfro on a wide open touchdown. Bryce has got to clean that up. Bryce has got to play good. We got to see Bryce show some leadership. I think the Panthers cover the spread. I hope they win. But I do think it'll be a closer game. And I think
You're taking the Panthers.
I'm taking the Panthers plus 6.5.
You're such a homer.
I took against the Giants.
Really
I bet against the Giants.
You don't really believe
No, I think it's gonna be a tight game. I do. I think it's gonna be a tight game. I think the Panthers are gonna play a lot better than what we saw last week, and I think offensively we're gonna see a lot more of the offense we saw at the end of last year than with the offense we saw against Jacksonville. I'm also hoping that that's correct, but I do think we're gonna see that, and I do think that when you do play young players, and you see it in every sport, when you do get youth out there that can run and that are excited and that are working their butts off and playing as hard as they can, that normally does elevate the veterans, and you hear a lot of veterans say that you know when you get these young guys in there and they're bringing it, even though they're raw and even though they're green and they're having to learn. It does bring some energy. So that one thing we talked about Monday that drove me crazy.
I didn't care whether they were rookies or
I know
not.
you didn't, but a lot of when players come in that have some juice. Listen, one of the things I said Monday about the Panthers that drives me crazy is when we watch other teams play, there's energy, there's aggressiveness, there's juice. When you watch the Panthers play, you feel like they could be playing in the middle of a crowded cafeteria and not knock one plate off a table.
We have too
and
many
it drives me crazy. So let's see if by Ransom is not a nice guy, he's a hitting machine. Let's hope he does it. Umanelan and Scorton, same thing. Tough guys that want to get after the quarterback. Let's hope they can do it. And then on offense, let's hope that Icky's healthy and plays well. Let's hope that the play con gets in on time so we don't have to snap every ball at 0.5. And let's hope Bryce shows a lot more of what he did in the last 10 games of the year instead of what we saw in the first.
Sounds like a lot of hoping.
Oh, there's a lot of hoping, praying, hoping. There's a lot. So we'll see what happens with that one. But that game's at 4:15. I think Frank and I might do a little live shot Sunday from Mother's Restaurant, new restaurant in Park Road Shopping Center that we love. Great food. And we're going to actually be doing our show there Friday as well. If you want to come by and check us out, we'll talk about that Monday. But we'll see you Sunday. And then Monday we'll review, hopefully, what's a great weekend of games. And hopefully Panthers get a W. Y'all have a good weekend.